Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Today is the 26th of April 2016. 26th of April 2016. Our sun sign is in Taurus, which is an earth sign, represented in the tarot cards by the card of the Hierophant. Hebrew letter Va means nail or hook. The idea that we need to hook the spiritual together into the physical, because the physical is just part of our reality. That reality exists because there is a spiritual that pre-exists before the physical. Our moon sign is in a transition today. Currently we are in Sagittarius, which is a fire sign. It's going to remain there all the way until 5:48 p.m., where it's going to go void of course for about an hour and 4 minutes, 8 minutes. And during that void of course phase, it's making a transition from one sign to the next. 6:54 p.m. Pacific time is going to go into the next moon sign, which is Capricorn. So we have our sun sign, Taurus, the earth, connecting the spiritual with the physical to help bring that down to the earth. That's what a spiritual teacher is about. This is, the spiritual teacher bringing down that connection. Okay, then we have the Sagittarius, fire, the higher self. This is the unconscious mind. We're making a transition from there later today into Capricorn. Capricorn's an earth sign. So we're going from Sagittarius, which is all about truthfulness, to, with his Capricorn, the devil, all about illusion. Okay, all about illusion. We have to learn to look past illusion to see the truth. Now, the illusion takes place because we're looking at things in the physical world. The illusion takes place if we forget that there is more than just the physical reality. If we forget about the fire, the water, the air that makes the earth, then we get caught up in the illusion that this is all that there is. But once we are able to look past that and realize that what this physical manifestation is just a byproduct of a higher form of energy, a higher form of thought and expression, then we understand a bit more of our connection. That is why it is important to understand the lesson of the Hierophant, hooking together the spirit, because without the spirit, the physical is just an unanimated body that doesn't do anything, like a golem or like a Frankenstein monster. If we think back to the Nag Hammadi library, the various Gospels and the Apocryphon, we find that, remember the story where after Yaldabaoth created humankind, humankind couldn't do anything. The man he created couldn't do anything until spirit was breathed into it. So spirit is very important essence in all things. Some of the aspects we're dealing with today, we've had the aspect of Uranus, unexpected changes. While most of us were sleeping, the wounded healer now is in play, understanding that part of ourselves that needs to be healed so we can go and heal that. That's the lesson we're dealing with at the moment. 10:51 a.m. our imagination kicks into gear with our higher self, with Sagittarius, in order to bring together a nice good nice good positive flow of that energy between them. And then as we get into this evening, we go void of course, as I said, at 5:48 p.m. and finally Capricorn, we enter the next moon sign, 6:54 p.m. On the moon phase, we're making our way to the new moon. We'll be there at May 6th. Right now we're 83% of the way full. It's a waning moon, which means we're going back from a full moon back down to a new moon. On the Jewish calendar today is 18 Nisan. 18 Nisan. We're still during the time of Passover. Omer day 3. Tonight begins day count number 4. The daily thought for today is the long road of Exodus. Every day since we first set foot from Ramses is another day of leaving Egypt. As soon as you stop leaving, you are back there again. Dreamspell Oracle, it's an 11-tone day, is the tone of dissolving, spectral tone of dissolution. The symbol is the star, which is shining bright, so we're going to dissolve our energy into the essence of all that is, so that we can become brighter and shine our star brighter into the world. It's the star guided by the star. Like-minded energy is the monkey, being able to see past illusion, play with what the illusion is. The mirror, the reflection of things. It's our challenge for today, and our hidden power is our ability to explore. The phrase for today is I dissolve in order to beautify, releasing art. I seal the store of elegance with the spectral tone of liberation. I am guided by my own power doubled. And just take a look here. We are in this middle pillar. So we have the first 6 and the last 6 reflect each other. The middle one is like this void period. I like to think of it as if you look at a merry-go-round, at the amusement parks, and you've got that middle section, which is the control booth. Well, this is that middle section. Everything is going around and around and around in the middle section. Right here is the area you go in, the control booth, where you get to see how it's all operating and working. So it's a good place to be. It's a good place to be. A lot of interesting things happen when you're in the center of the storm that is spinning around you. Space weather, solar wind 431.3 kilometers per second. Planetary K index, quiet, got a 1. Doesn't look like it's going to get much more than that over the next 24 hours. Large corona hole forming to the left side of the sun here. We'll be feeling effect from that at the beginning of the month of May, which is just right around the corner. M-class and X-class flare possibilities are both at 1%. Geomagnetic storm activity in the mid-latitude is dropping. It's going down from 15 to 10. And in the upper latitude, it's dropping as well from 25 down to 15. So things are subsiding in the universe and the cosmos around us. And finally, looking up at the sky tonight, we've got the moon. Saturn is just right below the moon. Even below Saturn, we find Scorpius. If we look far off to the right from the moon, we're going to see Mars, even lower than where Saturn is. It says Tuesday, April 26, bright Jupiter stands high south at nightfall. To its right is the sickle of Leo, upright with Regulus making the bottom of its handle. The sickle's second brightest star is Agibria Gamma Leonis, a fine double star for telescopes. With the moon now gone from the evening sky, explore the faint galaxy groups around Agibria with Sue French's Deep Sky Wonders. Okay, so there you go. That's what we're looking at in this cosmos tonight. So we've got Earth, Taurus. We're in there for the rest of this month, and then into half of next month. We have a moon sign, which are unconscious desires, moving from a sign, a fire sign of Sagittarius, moving to an earth sign of Capricorn. So we're going from a place of ideas, a place where we're expanding, looking at truthfulness, into a place where now there is illusionary natures because it's dealing with the physical world. So we need to really, it's really important then to hook together the spirit with the physical so we don't get caught up in the illusion. So that's the energy going on today. Use that information accordingly. because all of our days are affected by these energies, but it doesn't mean it's controlled by it, simply affected by it. It's kind of like the weather. We look at the weather, we see how the weather affects us during the daytime. All right, there you have it. That is our cosmic weather, UFO news. Up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today I have 5 stories. First story is of a massive UFO crash over Yellowstone. You can see this is a large object that is zipping by. There you go, you can see the object right up here. Quite a large object, leaving quite a tail of some sort as it's crashing into the ground. You can see it is making its way down to the ground there where it finally hits. That's really all the information we have on this at the moment. So if anybody happened to be out there, if you have further information, send it on in. firstcontactradio@yahoo.com. Next, we have what looks like a UFO hidden in a cloud. This is over to French Polynesian island, April 24th. It says the above photo is only half of a ship. It's the same half match, so we can't see the full view of the alien craft. Don't confuse this with being a simple cloud. Far from it. This is 100% alien tech that can create a cloud to hide inside of it. The cloud may be only a hologram. Okay. So, good shot of the object in question. Say Sunday morning, residents of Panuala looked up to heaven, witnessed an unusual phenomenon. A flying saucer-shaped cloud parked over Valtavre. Posted on social networks, snapshots of the phenomena were seen and shared hundreds of times. Cool. All right, 2 unidentified flying objects over Virginia Beach. Here we got our little white dots there. Here's an older video of 2 bright UFOs flying across the night sky. This is an older sighting, goes back to March of 2015, 8:50 p.m. Upon leaving the hair cuttery at Brenneman Farms Marketplace. I filmed these pulsating red-orange orbs in the night sky. As I walked to my car, I noticed a number of pulsating orbs directly overhead. First, I thought they might be drones or Chinese lantern. It took me a moment to get my phone camera rolling, at which point the largest group of orbs had faded out into the northeast sky. They were moving from the southwest horizon in procession, gradually gaining altitude, and then they simply faded out in the northeast sky. Each orb faded in the same location. As the orbs faded, their diameter gradually decreased. The orbs made no sound and never changed shape, with an exception of decreasing in diameter. Okay. There you go. Links available. Here's an incident that goes back as well. This one goes to 1964. Lonnie, Zamora UFO incident. Among the UFO sightings, one of the most intriguing cases was the evidence of physical trace of alien landing that took place in 1964. Lonnie Zamora witnessed the landing of an unknown spacecraft. For over 40 years, this encounter has become one of the major outbreaks and one of the cases that will never be forgotten. The Zamora incident took place on April 24, 1964, the southern outskirts of Socorro, New Mexico. At about 5:50 p.m. of the same year, 31-year-old Lonnie Zamora was alone in his patrol car when he heard a roaring sound and saw a flame some distance away. The sound was accompanied by an orange and bluish flame rising into the air. As soon as he heard the sound, he thought there was an explosion. Abandoning the chase of the speeder, he radioed his activities to the dispatcher. As he proceeded towards the flame and smoke, the aftermath seemed to reappear and disappear due to the dipping and rising roads he traveled. As soon as he arrived at the location, he noticed a shining object in the distance. His first reaction that it was an overturned automobile and his tank had been exploded. However, when he looked closely, he discovered that it comes from an oval-shaped object without doors or windows. Regaining his composure, Zamora radioed the sheriff's office the incident details. Next, he saw the object lifting off the ground, flying in a straight line for 15 miles. Zamora told Major Connor and Captain Holder that the noise was a roar, not a blast, and changed it from high to low frequency and then stopped. The sound lasted for about 10 seconds. Several witnesses emerged to report the event, which included the physical evidence and conspicuous flame left behind immediately afterward. Some physical traces were burned soil and vegetations, scrapings, metal ground, and landing impressions. Despite being the most perplexing reports, the event and its evidence redeemed the best documented. Here's a story about the Rockefellers and what do they know about extraterrestrials and UFOs. There exists a shadowy government within its own Air Force, its own Navy, its own fundraising mechanism, and the ability to pursue its own ideas of the national interest, free from all checks and balances and free from the law itself. To quote from Senator David K. Eoin, the highest-ranking Asian American politician in United States history. A number of presidents and politicians have spoken more openly about the shadowy government over the years. You can see more statements like the one above. Here's the link right here. As far as who's in charge of operating these clandestine activities, who knows? One great way to find out is to follow the money, and in doing so, it becomes immediately apparent that corporations sit higher than the government itself. It's corruption, really. The might of money, the corporations that hold governments in their hands because of lobbying power and so forth. It's really frightening. Jane Goodall. The recognition that we now live in a corporatocracy rather than a democracy has almost become a commonplace for many people. Above the corporations who continually require access to cheap money, however, there are big banks. These groups supply loans to corporations, enabling them to maintain their lobbying power and thus their influence over government policy. The banks in question include Chase, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, to name a few. Above these big banks are the national central banks like the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve. Above them still are the international central banks, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. And finally, above these two is the Central Bank of Central Banks, the Bank for International Settlements. When it comes to UFO phenomena, we know that the governments have been kept in the dark, that there are developments being made within the black budget world, most notably within unacknowledged and waived special access programs, otherwise known as SAPs, that the world leaders know little about. It is ironic that the U.S. would begin a devastating war, allegedly in search of weapons of mass destruction, when the most worrisome developments in this field are occurring in your own backyard. It is ironic that the United States should be fighting monstrously expensive wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, allegedly to bring democracy to those countries, when in itself it can no longer claim to be called a democracy, when trillions, and I mean trillions of billions of dollars, have been spent on projects about which both Congress and Commander-in-Chief have been kept deliberately in the dark. Paul Hellyer, former Canadian Defense Minister. I think it's a fair assumption to say that the information surrounding UFOs and extraterrestrials, along with the shadow government, lies within the hands of those who sit atop these major financial institutions, a group of private international elites. A power has risen up in the government greater than the people themselves, consisting of many and various powerful interests, combined into one mass and held together by the cohesive power of the vast surplus in the banks. John C. Calhoun, 7th Vice President of the United States. Today we have no shortage of evidence for the existence of extraterrestrials, UFOs. In fact, the reality of these objects has been officially verified in the mainstream world, as thousands of government documents have been released showing that there are objects in our atmosphere performing impossible maneuvers at unbelievable speeds. The Rockefeller family and the UFOs. What evidence is available suggesting that the Rockefeller family had information regarding UFOs and possible extraterrestrials? Well, we can start with the fact that we now know that Lawrence Rockefeller, the prominent third-generation member of the Rockefeller family and the fourth child of John D. Rockefeller, encouraged UFO research. How do we know this? He heavily supported the work of Harvard University professor, psychologist, and Pulitzer Prize winner John Mack, Dr. John Mack, who had great interest in UFOs and those who have had supposed contact with extraterrestrials. You can learn more about Mack in an article we published earlier this year where he dealt with 60 school children who all witnessed non-human beings in a large craft landing. According to the U.S. National Library of Medicine, Mack's disparate personas, from esteemed professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School to social activist and believer in alien abductions, were incongruent as the extraordinary assemblage of his supporters, who included venture capitalist Lawrence Rockefeller. The John E. Mack Institute website also states that Rockefeller funded Mack. We also know that Peter Strzok, an emeritus professor of physics, gathered a group of other world-renowned scientists in 1997 to stress the fact that the UFO topic deserves serious attention and is accompanied by physical evidence. The scientists met at the Poconedo Conference Center near Carytown, New York, and the conference was financially supported by Lawrence Rockefeller. Lawrence Rockefeller initiated efforts alongside Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton encouraging the U.S. government to officially disclose the existence of extraterrestrials and UFOs. It's what's known today as the Rockefeller Initiative, and you can view all of the documents to and from Lawrence Rockefeller to various people from the link right here. They were obtained through the Freedom of Information Act by various researchers, including the Paradigm Research Group, who was responsible for the Citizens Hearing on Disclosure, an event that brought together researchers and high-ranking military and political personnel to testify about the reality of UFOs and extraterrestrials in front of several former U.S. state congresspeople. You can hear more about it here as a link. And finally, a picture with Hillary Clinton meeting with Lawrence Rockefeller holding a book believed to be written by Paul Davies titled, Are We Alone? You can see from the information above why it is not unreasonable to assume this, and we published an article earlier this year explaining how we determined the identity of the book. All right, so it says, so what exactly does the Rockefeller family know? Stated earlier, based on my research, I believe that the secrecy surrounding the subject has been dictated by a small group of elite who sit atop the global financial system. I believe this same international group has heavily influence inside the military-industrial complex / black budget, and I believe they are responsible for what President Eisenhower warned us about many years ago, the acquisition of unwanted influence, whether sought or unsought by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. I also believe that information regarding this subject could lie in the hands of people above those who control the global economy, financial systems, with a group that's completely 100% clandestine, even possibly beyond the big banks, but who really knows? That being said, it's only possible to find information linking Lawrence Rockefeller to UFOs. We don't have much evidence to suggest his other family members have been involved, but it's not illogical to assume that given the fact that Ann Bartley, the stepdaughter of Winthrop Rockefeller, was also involved. We know that he has shown a clear interest in the subject and, as illustrated above, financed a few prominent people who were studying the subject. It's clear that Lawrence had a heavy interest in the subject and certainly encouraged the disclosure of classified information, as the above information demonstrates. Whether he was doing this out of pure interest or because he and his family were already involved in the cover-up is unclear. Who knows what information he was privy to, or what other remarks of his family knew about the subject. Lawrence was the only one who openly took interest in it, but other members of his family could have been working behind the scenes. All right, very good. And one last piece here. Found these. This is pretty interesting. These are supposedly, so these pictures were allegedly smuggled out of the Dulce base. The blurriness is caused from internet transfers and probably my own computer. I don't know if they are legit. Some are, and perhaps some aren't. Either way, it doesn't negate the fact that the base exists and needs to be exposed for what it is. Okay, so we have a whole series of pictures that are supposed to be level 3 tube shuttle station. I'll say level 1. All right, very interesting. very interesting, huh? Okay, and then at the end of the page, you got a link to see page 2. Here's Dulce in an alien language. And the sign here says the screen is shot is from the underground levels of Dulce. It references the Buru's moon incoming to planet Earth. Talks about Satan. It says the great horned dragon serpent of deep earth lies down in the advanced city of Agartha, capable of magic, teleports self, night vision, mind reader, fireproof, frostproof, metamorphosis at will, lifespan of 30,000 years, purple eyes, iridescent amber scales, show war with God of the Holy Land. Satan's 666 home planet called Nibiru is Blackstone of the Seven Seals. Opened 2006 to 2012, the end times of the Earth's third density. Interesting. Okay, some more pictures. And finally, one last page, a third page. It's supposed to be a cloning facility right here. All right, so there you go. UFO news, some really interesting pictures, really interesting stories. So check it out. The links are available. See what you think. What's real, what's fake, and everything in between. All right, that's it for the UFO news. I'll be back. Stay tuned. This is Wake Up.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise! time to demand the truth.
All right. Time to demand the truth. Time to demand the truth. That's what Sagittarius is all about. Okay, we're going to get into the subject of 9/11 truth, but just before that, I have one story I want to show you. Because yesterday, I went off on, telling you the stories of the government corruption, and I got into talking about the bathroom bill that's going on, and the person and the organization behind it, connected to pedophiles and all that nonsense. It's something Americans really need to pay attention to. So here's a story. I bring this up because this didn't take long. Okay? Didn't take long, but here we go. Man dressed in woman's clothes to arrest at Potomac Mills. A Fredericksburg man was arrested Monday at Potomac Mills Mall after police say he dressed in woman's clothes and attempted to film a woman through a bathroom stall. This is the third incident since last May. The victim in the case, 35-year-old Alabama woman, told police she was using the restroom around 3:10 p.m. when she saw a bag protruding from underneath the neighboring stall, said Prince William Police spokesman Nathan Probus. The victim told police that she tried to confront the subject, a man dressed in women's clothing, who exited the stall and went to another stall next to another woman. The victim alerted the woman in the stall and contacted Potomac Mills security officers who detained the man until police arrived. Richard Rodriguez, 30, of Greenwich Drive in Fredericksburg, was charged with 3 counts of unlawful filming of non-contesting persons and 3 counts of peeping. Probus said he's being held without bond at the Prince William Manassas Regional Jail. Police say he's responsible for a May incident at the Walmart and an October incident at Potomac Hills. Okay, so yesterday the discussion was about whether or not this issue was a discrimination against transgenders or whether it was an attempt to protect people from perverts. Okay? The bill, what's happening, the reason they're saying no to it is not because they're trying to discriminate, but because it's short-sighted. See, if a person's going through a transgender experience, if they're going through some sort of transition, most likely that person wants to maintain a degree of privacy about that experience. It's probably not a public experience unless you're someone like Bruce Jenner who wants the whole world to know. Most of the time it's a private experience. Most of the time people want to get in, get out. They don't want to cause problems. Again, those aren't the ones we're concerned about. The ones we're concerned about are the people that have a mental illness or are simply just perverts that want to take advantage of these laws. Here is a man now, 3 times. Third time he was captured with this. 3 times he was doing this. You see the problem, my friends? This is what we're opening the door to. Not the transgenders, not those going through an experience like that, but the perverts. The ones who aren't going through those experiences. And they give a bad name to everybody then, because you see this and people want to associate this with the different groups. So if you happen to be transgender, and if this issue is very important to you, then you should speak out equally against the perverts because they're giving you a bad name. Okay? Just like anybody else, there's always groups of individuals that give bad names to larger groups, and there's a bad rap going on because bad people are doing things and you're getting, the rap for it. So anyway, you got what I'm saying? Didn't take very long, did it? We're probably going to see more of these kind of things because this law that they put in place has pretty much given an opportunity for anyone who's a pervert to be able to go into the bathroom, claim that they are a woman, and start doing whatever. In this case, the guy was filming. Imagine if that was you, or your wife, or your sister, or your daughter, or your child. This is why we have to use our common sense, my friends. This is why, because these things are real and are happening. How many incidents like this are going on that are unreported? Okay? Only we can fix this problem by standing up and speaking out against it. All right, switching gears. Thought that today would be a good day to remind everybody about the topic of 9/11. 9/11, September 11th, 2001. It was a day when we saw here in America the World Trade Centers. 3 of the buildings collapsed. 2 of them that we know about because they were the 2 tallest of the structures. However, there was a 3rd building that came down that day that really didn't get a lot of attention. Didn't get a lot of attention because a plane didn't hit that building. It simply had fire in it, and then it collapsed, just like the other 2, into its own footprint. Something that shouldn't have occurred, but did because, as we've learned over all of these years, the building had explosives in it. It was brought down in a controlled demolition fashion. Now, there are those out there who say, oh, 9/11, there's no information. Well, when people say that, they're absolutely inaccurate on what they're saying, because after 15 years, there's a mountain of evidence. There's books that have been written, peer-reviewed articles on the subject. Groups have spoken out over and over and over. Really, these days, to not know that something happened there that was a false flag, that it was an inside job, to not know that is like being in the minority. Because anyone who's taken any time to read, to study, to research knows that 9/11 was an inside job. And now we're hearing all this talk about these 28 pages. And Saudi Arabia has become very nervous about these 28 pages to the point that they are now threatening certain actions if we were to put these pages out or to somehow point or implicate them in the problems that have occurred with 9/11. So there's more than meets the eye. Definitely more than meets the eye. Now, one thing about 9/11 I want to say that we need to give props to is to Michael Moore. You may not like Michael Moore as a person. You may not like who he is as a filmmaker and some of the things he's done. But in regards to the subject of 9/11, he was the first one. He was the first one with his movie Fahrenheit 9/11 to point the finger not only at the Saudis, but at the Bush family, and to get into the heart of talking about all of the conspiracy that is going on that we've uncovered. So anybody who is studying the subject needs to understand where our interest came from, and in many cases it came from Michael Moore, and it came from Fahrenheit 9/11. So we need to give credit where credit is due, because he really got the ball rolling on this and kept the interest in the public eye, so people could see that there was something high profile that was being put out on this subject, and it snowballed from there. So there's a lot of websites, a lot of places where you can go find information. It's not hidden by any means. It's available. All that's required to know any of this information is simply the willingness to look. And sometimes that willingness takes a little bit of courage, because people are oftentimes afraid of looking into something because of fear of what they might find. Because once you see this information and once you know what's real, you can't unsee it. You can't unknow it. It changes everything. And the way you're going to look then at the incident of 9/11 will be different after you've seen the information from the investigation as opposed to beforehand. So let me show you some of these links that you can go to. This first one here, it's called Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. This is Richard Gage, who's the head of this organization here. He's been a guest on the show in the past. He's got a great site here that is comprised of architects and engineers who are simply wanting to understand what the problem was with the building and why it fell down, and how they could correct the situation so no more buildings fall down. It says to date they have 2,510 architects and engineers that have signed this petition here, and another 21,000 others who aren't architects and engineers but are very interested in finding out the results. Okay, find out their all their positions by going to the site here. Okay, we got links to evidence, tons of evidence, as I was saying. Here we go. I mean, this is September 11th, 2001, the 3 World Trade Centers. Failures in modern structure took place when the World Trade Center buildings 1, 2, and 7 suffered complete and rapid destruction. In the aftermath of the tragedy, most members of the architecture and the engineering community, as well as the general public, assumed that the building's destruction had occurred as a result of the airplane impact and fires. The view was reinforced by subsequent federal investigations, culminating in FEMA's 2002 Building Performance Study and the 2005 and 2008 reports by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Since 9/11, however, independent researchers around the world have assembled a large body of evidence that overwhelmingly refute the notion that airplane impacts and fire caused the destruction of the Twin Towers in WTC-7. The body of evidence, most of which FEMA and NIST omitted from the reports, instead supports the troubling conclusion that all 3 skyscrapers were destroyed in the process known as controlled demolition, where explosives and or other devices are used to bring a building down. And we have, key evidence, rapid onset of destruction, constant acceleration at or near free fall speed, numerous eyewitness accounts of explosions, including the NYPD, lateral ejection of material, midair pulverization, isolated explosive ejections, total destruction and dismemberment of 3 buildings, several tons of molten steel iron found in the debris piles, evidence of thermite incendiaries and steel beams, and nanothermite composites and iron microseals found in WTC dust samples. So these are the key evidence here that is found and that they are looking at. Remember, architect and engineers, each one of these sites that I'm going to show you has a specific purpose. Architect and engineers, their purpose is real simple. They are architects. They are engineers. They design and build buildings. They want to know scientifically why those buildings fell, so they can find out what they need to do to further designs to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So they needed to reverse engineer what happened in order to determine whether or not the building fell as a result of the architecture and the engineering design, or whether there was some other cause. What has been determined was that the building came down because of another cause. In this case, controlled demolition. So it had nothing to do with the architecture, it had nothing to do with the engineering, it had everything to do with the explosives planted in that building. That building was demolished. All 3 of them were. So that's what is discovered here, and that's what these architects and engineers have discovered through the course of this. So check out this site, tons of great information. Okay, then we go from here, we have another site. This one is 911truth.org. This was, again, very important site. A lot of information here, a lot of links. This one was one of the first groups that seemed to be up as well. 911truth.org. Let's see here, begin questioning. If you go here, click on this link, it says begin questioning. And just articles like the importance of the official 9/11 myth. Trump says Bush had advanced knowledge of 9/11. U.S. Army ships same virulent anthrax strain used after 9/11 attacks. Okay, on and on. So I've got a page here of evidence. So a lot of good links here. Okay, a lot of good links at 911truth.org. This next site here, these are pilots. Pilots for 9/11 Truth, an organization of aviation professionals and pilots throughout the globe who have been gathered together for one purpose. We are committed to seeking the truth surrounding the events of September 11th, 2001. Our main focus concentrates on the 4 flights the maneuvers performed, and the reported pilots. We do not offer theory or point blame. At this point in time, however, we are focused on determining the truth of it, that faithful day based on the solid data and facts. Since 9/11/2001 is the catalyst for many of the events shaping our world today, and the United States government does not seem to be very forthcoming with the answers or facts. They say that we do not accept the 9/11 Commission report, a commission admittedly set up to fail, according to the chairman himself, nor hypothesis a satisfactory explanation for the continued gross violations of the United States Constitution being committed by government agencies and the sacrifice every American has made to continue to be made, some more than others. We stand with the numerous growing organizations of firefighters, medical professionals, lawyers, scholars, military officials, veterans, religious and political leaders, alongside survivors, family members of the victims, family members of the soldiers who have been made the ultimate sacrifice, including the many ground zero workers who are now ill or have passed away. We ask for a true, new, independent investigation for the events of 9/11. Thank you for taking the time to inform yourself. Okay, from there we go to another site. This is Firefighters for Truth and Unity, igniting a truth and community revolution to extinguish the fires of 9/11. Okay, and you can see that they're linked here to architects and engineers. He said, we are committed to deepen our honoring by learning from 9/11 and making the individual and community changes necessary so that 9/11 type events never happen again and the wars on terror never happen again. Never forget, never again. Okay, these are the guys that were in the building first, and you can find from this site here, listen to their own testimonies on the explosives in the building and so on. Scholars for 9/11 Truth. This is another great link. Goes off to two different locations. Well, you can explore further here by clicking on these, 911scholars.org and stj911.org. Okay, and here we have 9/11 Truth News. You can see 60 Minutes covers declassification of the 28 pages. CBS covers the 28 pages redacted from the Congressional Joint Inquiry into the 9/11 attack, interviewing Bob Graham and touching on a number of topics relevant to the pursuit of 9/11 truth. Okay, you've heard Donald Trump talking about this 28 pages. This is the 28 pages that Saudi Arabia is concerned about because this is where they might become implicated. All right, and one last bit of information here, and this is the full Final Cut version of Loose Change. If you haven't seen Loose Change, take the time today to watch it. Loose Change is one of the best documentaries out there on the subject that outlines in really specific detail an investigation that has taken place about all of the events of 9/11, from the buildings to the alleged hijackers to the Pentagon and what happened there to what happened in Shanksville and everything in between. And by the time you get done watching this, I promise that you will have seen so much information about what happened that you will have a different perspective on the 9/11 events that took place. And you'll realize that the story that was told to the public is not accurate to what really happened. And that's the first step to thinking for ourselves, because we are continuing to be being fooled. This is all part of the illusion that if they can continue to fool us and do these things, then we're in a big problem. If we have a government that can continually terrorize us like this, then we need to do something about it. So that's the purpose of understanding this, so we can make the changes necessary. Okay, making the changes necessary. Now, these changes that we need to make are only going to happen when we go inside of ourselves. They're not going to happen as we look outside of ourselves, hoping someone else or something else is going to make the change. Each and every one of us are here right now to make a difference. If you were not needed to be upon this planet, if God wanted to do the job that you think you're here to do, you wouldn't be here. So you have a purpose. Just like I have a purpose, and every one of us here on this earth have a purpose. We are here for a purpose. And that purpose is going inside to connect, to hooking that spirit and the physical so we can make this world a better place. And so as we reach into ourselves, as we bring forth that divinity within, we make better choices, we make better decisions, we mold this world into the world that it needs to be. And therefore we are helping the Creator to fix this world, to make it better. Because remember, we're told through the Nag Hammadi that it was Yaldabaoth who created all of this reality with his demons and all of his dark beings, the archons, and that's the reality that we can change. So we can change that, but we have to realize there's an illusion going on so we can look past the illusion. You can't dispel the illusion if you don't realize there's an illusion to dispel. Once you realize that, then you can make the changes necessary. Again, the changes go first with us. So here's an article that speaks to this effect. It's from In5D, Michelle Welling. It's called Vibrational Roadblocks, What to Do Next. Congratulations on learning how to raise your vibrational frequency. You may be wondering what to do next. You may also have some unexpected challenges that have left you wondering if you are doing the right thing. What is the next step beyond raising your vibration? And then when do the challenges end? As part of a spiritual awakening, we learned that the world has existed in a lower vibrational frequency, which has kept us lulled into complacency in a waking sleep state. You may have read many articles on raising your vibration, such as this one, How to Raise Your Personal Vibration, and you have listened to videos such as the one from Greg Prescott of In5D that explains how frequency has been around us and why. As you transmuted low vibrational frequencies, your DNA has slowly shifted to allow our cells to vibrate faster. This has allowed your cells to begin to ignite with light or plasma, and the DNA within the cells begins to transform. Through meditations, you slowed time down, turned off the outside world, went within to raise your frequency. You worked on transmuting your energies of fear, thick, sticky, dark energy, and you are learning to operate from the heart rather than the head or ego. Your consciousness has expanded along with your cells, and you are working on detoxing and purifying your body, which also raises your vibrational frequency. It hasn't been a Pollyanna journey, though raising your vibration. A couple of things may have happened since you began your work. For one, you may have figured out at some point what you need to stop that some point that you will need to stop raising your frequency, or your spirit may pop out of your body. This isn't a bad thing, as people have out-of-body experiences a lot. However, for the purpose of holding a frequency that will help Earth to ascend in her vibrational frequency and consciousness, we need to stay in the body and to be grounded. The importance of grounding is imperative because it keeps us in tune with the Earth and Source, and this is one of the most important things we do on a daily basis. Another thing that may have happened to you as you hit a high point of vibration is that negative entities were attracted to you like moths to a flame. This is because the beings that feed off your energy are beginning to starve as a collective because of the number of people waking up and cutting them out of their lives. When they notice a glowing light bulb in their plane of existence, they think that they will be getting a buffet dinner. They gather around and wait for the dinner bell. If you are not always on your toes, you may slip back into an old habit, such as arguing, jealousy, alcohol, or drug use. These behaviors and actions create a fissure in the auric field just big enough to allow one of these entities to plug the socket in and start feeding. Slowly, you begin to be drained again of your energy, and your cells begin to vibrate a bit slower. If this happens to you, the good news is that your consciousness was raised enough to understand what happened, and you may have pulled you out of the situation and went right back into a high vibrational state. You also realize that the reason this happened to you is that you were vibrating so high that you were noticed. Don't have any fear about getting back to that state, because the higher you go, at one point you will become invisible to them. This is a game of one step forward, two steps back, but eventually you will get to the top of the stairs. Don't be too hard on yourself for that step backward. It is a very normal part of learning and experience through veiled illusion. Another possibility is that while cleaning out what is not of the high vibrational frequency, some hidden things of the past surface, and you struggle with major changes on your life. Upheaval brought a bit of chaos until you were able to figure things out. This was almost another dark night of the soul, but since you had already been there before, you recognized that you simply needed to pay attention to what was coming up and to deal with it like the warrior that you are. Then you may have had to rinse and repeat. Some people who suffer this form are labeled as bipolar. This is when individuals have fluctuating from negative to positive and back, and those vibrations fluctuate from high to low, low to high. These individuals are highly receptive to influence from outside electromagnetic, UV, and audio frequencies. Okay, you may have also realized you need to move away from a person or situation that triggered you, or a city that was bombarding you with low frequency through towers and radio waves. The important thing is to realize that running away will not keep the pattern from repeating. These energies need to be felt through the emotional body and let out in a way that does not harm others. Figuring out how to do this is simple and a trial and error creation. Okay, so got a lot more to the article. The last paragraph is the challenges may not end until we have returned to source to sign up for another assignment. However, by integrating our higher self's wisdom from our soul, we can learn how to play the game with better understanding and how to be in the world but not of it. Your intention to remove yourself from this reality will be the strong force to push like-minded individuals over the edge into the new reality where our struggles will vanish. For now, do the best you can. Take the load of brick off your shoulders. You're going to get there one way or another, and right now, you have to do what makes life easiest for you while you continue to climb the steps. Your soul frequency will get more and more refined for you for every brick that you drop. All right, so there you go. It's a good article. Good article. And it's very important, you know. This changes in the times that we're going through. We're unfortunately having to deal with all of this nonsense. Okay, so when you go out into the world, we have to, one, understand what's going on around us. Second, once we are aware of what is taking place in the physical world around us, then we need to put it in its proper perspective. And the proper perspective is that this physical world is simply a byproduct of the fire, water, the air, the ideas, the emotions, and the actions. Okay, we have to look past the reality of the physical to understand the deeper reality that is going on. And once we do, then that which is in the physical seems to take on a different meaning. We start to be able to find that we are not at the mercy of life. Quite the opposite. We have the ability to move through life unencumbered and unaffected by what's going on, simply by raising our vibrations. So we have tremendous amount of power within ourselves. We just aren't always encouraged to allow that power to come forth because, well, quite frankly, that power challenges those who do not want us to have the power because they don't want to be challenged by us. But too bad. That's what's happening. That's where we're going. It's time for people to make a difference and a change, and the change starts within. Here's a message from the Council of Radiant Light. It's a good message for today. Here we go.
Alia Mira, Meredith Murphy, tilde the Council of Radiant Light tilde unfolding the pure line of spirit April 25, 2016. Channeled on April 23, 2016 by Alia Mira. The time is now. Be who you are. The time is now. Let yourself be free. The time is now. Step away from all you've known and let yourself discover what is. What is what's now. What's now is what is relevant for you. You will know it's relevant for you when it is. What is perfect. You can feed deeply from what is. Let yourself know what is. Let yourself focus your attention into now. Let now be fully received. Let yourself know you are this now and it is a full and beautiful expression of you. This now is you. It is you. As you let yourself live the now and be in this now fully and freely receiving it and flowing, you will discover you. You will discover life. You will unfold the pure line of spirit. In you, through you, as you. You will discover that life is more than the singular you are expressing it, you are expressing life. You are an elaboration and extension, an emanation of life. You are life and you are the moment expressing itself and you are life receiving and experiencing this moment. That is all. There is nothing else. Everything else is distortion. A made-up parallel that is going to collapse. Any way in which you don't follow your spirit creates a parallel. It will collapse as you orient and flow into the pure line of spirit as you. The parallel. It will be in the Akashic records, so you don't need to remember it or reference it or hold onto it in any way. You are free to move on without holding onto it in any way. It's not you. It was your experience in its moment, but as that moment is complete, as another instant occurs, it's gone and it's still not you. Isn't it a surprise to you that you are a gift and you are receiving the gift? You are the present, expressed and experiencing. We are playing with words here and it is fun. That is what now is, now. This now is fun. What if you let yourself be you and drop everything else? What if you let yourself be this free all the time? What would that be like? The game has changed. Limitation is complete. It's beautifully triggered a return to oneness. You are divine presence, expressing, receiving. Simultaneously. Ground into the fullness of your spirit. It's time to be who you are. We are complete.
All right. Very good. Very good. You know, it kind of reminds me of the pattern of the trestle board. The very first principle in the pattern of the trestle board is all the power that ever was or will be is here now. And if you just contemplate that and think about that, it means all the power, everything that ever exists, all the power that ever was or ever will be is right here, right now. So this moment, this now is everything. And within this moment of now exists everything that's ever been and ever will be. So all the possibility of everything that we want to create and do exists right in this moment, right in this very moment. The second principle is I am a center of expression for the primal will to good which eternally creates and sustains the universe. So once we understand the first principle that we are in a moment now that contains all of the energy of the past and the future, and all the possibilities exist right here, right now, and that we are expressions of this divine force that just flows through us, this nowness that flows through us, this being of past and future all coming together in this moment through us as a center of expression. So we're a very important part of the mix, because once we have this energy, now we have an opportunity to decide what we're going to do with it. So let's focus today as we go through the day on how we use our energy. How we use our energy. So close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Another deep breath. Exhale again. Another breath. And exhale. Now let's just imagine right now you're in the middle of a open space, floating in the midst of space. All around is space, and we're just there floating in the midst of everything and nothing. And in this moment, in this space, we feel all of the possibilities that exist. For we know that all things that have ever been do exist and all things that ever will be now exist. And within this moment are all possibilities that ever have been, ever will be. And so we simply allow ourselves to contemplate the true potential that exists in this moment. And as we contemplate that, we understand and remember that we are the ones who are the expressions of all of this energy that emanates through us. That this energy, this expression of past, present, and future possibilities flows through us at this moment and all moments. So let's just imagine as this energy flows through us, let's just imagine that it unlocks the wisdom within ourselves that needs to be unlocked. It connects us to a deeper aspect of ourselves that is beyond the physical body. And as we connect to this higher source of life, we instantly see past the illusion of this physical reality. And we find ourselves in that place of pure energy, pure potentiality. So as we move through the world today, let's just observe the energy that flows to us, flows through us, flows around us, and within us. Let's just imagine this flow of energy and how we experience and deal with this energy over the course of this day. So let the subconscious mind continue on this journey of observation, observing all so we can see the difference between the true reality and the illusion. So the subconscious mind continues on observing all that is existing within one's reality in this realm and the next. And we thank you, great Creator, for this opportunity and ability to observe, to be aware, to experience all that you have to offer. And we bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. All right, my friends, that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here. Just observe yourself today. Observe all of the energy. Observe the world. See if you can notice the difference between the reality of life and the illusion of the physical world. Just observe and let that be enough, and you'll be surprised if you haven't already done it. I'm probably certain you already have, but you'll continue to be amazed at what you see as you simply observe. The simplicity of that. The simplicity of that is enough. All right, I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Till then, have yourselves an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.